What you see in front of you is something that you might recall from your middle school doodles. It's the impossible triangle. This is a totally legitimate solid model created in SpaceClaim LT, and today I'm going to show you not only how you can make one yourself, but also all the cool stuff that's derived from this mystical, legitimate solid. So to give you a better idea what's going on, I'm going to turn on the tangent edge display. And the key observation to make is that the corners of it are cubes. So to make our own, we'll start by making a cube. First a square, then a cube. Okay, looks like a cube. Now we want to look directly down vertex to vertex, so we'll pick these 3 points and set ourselves up with a plane, and we can view onto the plane. And now we'll set this as our home view because we might want to come back to it later. Now I'm going to reference the intersection of that point in the center with the plane, so I just project an edge, and now I've got an angly line, and I want to create 2 more of these rotated around, so I'll just put a circle there, and now I'm going to move it. To do so, I'm going to throw it into a component because I want these to stay identical as I move them around. That might come in handy later. So I'll center up that move tool here in the center of what is to be our impossible triangle. There's one of them. Here's the other. And that looks okay. Now a little restructuring and we'll get rid of our construction junk. And we can hide this plane now because it's not doing us any favors. And here we've got the vertices of our triangle. Maybe I'll make the guy a little bit fatter. And by adjusting one, they all adjust together. That's because these are components. Now, there are a couple different ways to do the next step. I'm going to show you a fancy version, which is I'm going to copy the solid from one component into the other. This means that all 3 components now contain 2, so there's a little bit of redundancy, but we're going to use that because we're going to make each leg individually. So with the good old pool tool, pick 2 faces and we will blend between them. And now you can see we have one of the legs, and when we turn on the other components, of course, we have what we expect as the triangle itself. Now, what did we do? What did we create? Well, look at that. It's an impossible triangle in real 3D. If you want to be a bit fussier, you're welcome to come up with a rotational way of making it so you could bend it out of bar stock. But this is the quick and dirty way of getting your impossible triangle done. Now, once you've made your impossible triangle, there's all sorts of other fun stuff you can do with it. For example, let's open up this little fella, and you can see we've combined them together into 3 or 4, and you can do that recursively, and sooner or later you end up with some level of Sierpinski impossible triangle. And yes, there are all lots of little guys in here. This is a level 8. If you're not satisfied, you can go further yourself. Now, here you see one of the friends of the impossible triangle, the impossible cuboid. It's not quite a cube the way we've drawn it here. You might recall the impossible cuboid was starring in a famous drawing you might have observed in your high school days. This is very forlorn-looking man because he's looking at an impossible cuboid. Here we are in Escher's Belvedere. Throw on some background, and you might notice that there are other impossible cubes here in the mix. Not down there, but up here, we zoom out. Yes, in fact, just stare at that for a second. What we've got is columns that don't seem to work. The guys on the ladder are both inside and outside the building at the same time. It's crazy stuff, but nonetheless, totally possible. So if we just rotate this around here, oh boy, it works. It's an amazing thing. And you could actually build this, I suppose. I think Rem Koolhaas has made things that are more difficult to build, but probably less tacky. Anyhow, so this is a relatively simple thing that you can make with impossible cubes. Now, let's not forget our friend the impossible triangle. It also has practical applications. Once again, our friend MC Escher had this version of it. See if you can find the impossible triangles in this diagram. Let's see. No, not down there. That's the garden, although fun use of SpaceClaim's cylinder tool in that. Ah, there they are. Yes, yes, the waterfall flowing around and around through impossible triangles. Now, this is a totally legitimate solid model. You could certainly manufacture this or maybe even run it through your rapid prototyping machine. And let's see what that looks like deep down inside. Rotating her around, you can see that some design sacrifices had to be made. For example, there inside the barn, well, or the mill house, I guess it is. There are, we had to make a little space for some of these bendy columns. But nonetheless, basic impossible triangle technique goes a long way to perpetual motion, which is something I think we could all use a little bit more of nowadays. So have fun. Try not to hurt yourself by staring at these things too much. But I'm sure that some intrepid modeler out there will be able to come up with an impossible octahedron or something. And if you don't do it first, I probably will in my next moment of boredom. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and thank you very much.